Yeah, we're live. This is so fucking weird. Like this is gonna fuck me up until we get this goddamn sound ready to go. Fortunately, yeah, I got
candle behind.
yeah. I mean, there's 0 people here, so this is fine. All right,
Also
whatever.
true.
JuddzBudz Budz episode 116, Gretzky plus Foligno episode. As always, your host, Spokesy. I just lit my face on fire a little bit. I'm going to put that down. As always, your host, Spokesy, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hobby. Hobby, how are we doing?
Scrambling, chaos, but when has it ever been any different?
Hell yeah. Amen, brother. Preach. Yeah. Chaos, just nonstop chaos. Hoppy did make it 10 seconds before this was supposed to go live. So that was actually
that was a very easy move.
Yeah. Yeah. Get your own pod. Oh, wait a minute. I can't say get your own podcast. That wouldn't make any sense. You have so many of them because that's what you do. Too many, some would say, including probably your wife.
She's actually leading the committee.
Yeah, she leads that one.
Logan doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, he hasn't said shit about it. Literally, hasn't said anything about it. 0 words about it. Does not care. He's like, he's been on. Like, so I don't know why she's so mad. If the kid doesn't care. Thought he was the most important thing. So, we will get to draft stuff later. But in the
take baby, meet it later,
Yeah.
Bob. Night or day sometime. Charlie.
We will get there to the draft stuff.
Let's stay off the rails for a second. On Pardon My Take, they're talking about starting this like dude fest that happens in like February or something, where it's just like, because it's like kind of the awkward in between of sports. Like it's always a lull for hockey and basketball. Just got through the NFL season, whatever. No baseball yet. And it's just like guys showing up and being dudes. Like literally could mean anything. And all I could think of when they're talking about how they want to slowly ramp it up and they want to try and get some people interested in year one, I'm like, you'll get me there if you have flyers that you're handing out on biceps. I don't know if you recall that episode of Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Come hang out at the party mansion. Oh, okay.
Oh shit! All right. See, there's so many fucking Always Sunnies that like it doesn't matter what you reference, like it's gonna get a laugh. Like you forget about more episodes than you remember, and it's just fucking unbelievable. It's just
the first 5 seasons. I remember every episode like pretty vividly.
Yeah, fair enough.
After that, it gets a little murky because like some are good, some are bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
like literally one episode in the first 5 seasons that I disliked. The rest of them are money.
Yeah. Let me pull this up here. But getting back on the rails, we will be talking more draft stuff in a little bit here. The one thing that we agreed on that we were kind of laughing about in the 10 seconds we had before, in between like us jumping on and then hitting live. I should be banned from watching hockey, talking about hockey. I shouldn't be allowed to do it. Or at least I should be banned from like predicting things or putting opinions out there in the world. Everything I said exactly 1 week ago, like possibly to the second, was like it. I said it. Those words came out of my mouth. And this is actually a common theme. This happens every time I throw anything out there, really. The exact opposite happened. I word for word said I can't say any, like the more I watch, which is also very funny that I started with that caveat, like the more I watch, which is unbelievable. I just can't see a world where anyone beats the Dallas Stars 4 times before they beat them 4 times. They lost the next 2 games. Edmonton Oilers, Canada's team apparently now, which is the most pathetic thing in the world. We'll make fun of that. When we're done making fun of ourselves, when I'm done making fun of myself specifically, we'll make fun of the entire. Maybe that's not the whole country of Canada, but like
I disagree.
The people that are the people that are running that are on the analysts.
Yeah,
I know, but like that's what I mean. The fucking people who are running the show here, not this one, but we'll make fun of them in a second because it's the dumb. They say this every fucking year. Every time there's like one Canadian team left. Anyways, and then I'm pretty confident that I said that I thought the Rangers, just like after watching the Panthers and Bruins series, I was like, I don't know, like the Rangers should be able to handle this. Like I saw a lot of mistakes that I used to seeing from the Florida Panthers. Yeah, that didn't happen. So you know, it's unreal. I've lost a lot of money too, so that's good.
That's positive. This is a key one, Z, right here.
Yeah, that's a
Tony
good
Pants definitely wouldn't start a franchise with Draisaitl because you can't win with him. That is a pretty wild thing to say, regardless of what's happened this year. Like even if you remove what's happened in this postseason, I don't know how you could say that.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one. But anyways, I just want to make fun of myself. I feel like that's a fairly important thing. And my God, I should probably like be forced to sit out. I don't know, the first couple games of the or at least just from like talking about it or predicting anything. I haven't said anything correct. Nothing I've said is true. Like it's been terrible. Like now Celebrini probably will go like 12th overall. Cole Eiserman will go first. You know, like everything that I've said is going to be like, God damn it. Well, now we can't let this happen anymore. Like, you know, Mike Greer's like, well, fucking that idiot spoke because he said like Celebrini was a no doubt for number 1 overall pick. I guess we have to go with anybody else now. Maybe we'll get him with the 14th pick, wherever the fuck they have their second pick. But anyways, just want to make fun of myself because like as I was watching the game since our last show, I was like just like maniacally laughing by myself because I was like, this is unbelievable. Like it comes out of my mouth. When we finished the show, Dallas was up 2-0 in that game, by the way. They blew the fucking lead and lost at home. It was unbelievable. Oh, God damn it. What a loser. That's me. That's how I wanted to start the show because I think it's important that everyone knows that whatever comes out of my mouth, don't listen to it. Probably I wouldn't do it.
I just think a 6-day suspension from watching playoff hockey is the most fair solution.
That's fine.
And you will have served it by game 1 on Saturday, so it's perfect.
I forgot about that one.
Man, let's talk about the 2 teams eliminated. The big story for me, well, I guess there's 2 we can talk about in Dallas, but let's start with the Rangers. Igor Shesterkin. I'm sorry, I don't speak English.
Love that.
Did you see that or no?
I saw tweets about it. I didn't
the context.
Nope.
They asked him how much he's going to ask for in his next contract.
Oh God, that rocks. I love that. It's just anytime something like that, and specifically with that context, when it's a Russian dude doing it, it's so much funnier because it's like, oh, you think he's kidding? Like he's just like. He's not serious because we all know he speaks English, but he's gonna fucking take them to the cleaners, and he doesn't give a fuck. I love that shit. It's so funny to me. I love that for him. Good for him.
A word out there from Friedman and Merrick today was the thing that his agent might look for is a comparable to Carey Price when he signed his contract, the percent that he was getting, which would put him just over 12 mil, given the like projected salary cap when he signs his next deal kicks in. I love that. I hope that the Rangers just literally repeat history over and over. They keep getting a generational goalie who they cannot get a cup because they can't fill out a roster around them.
Yeah, it is crazy how like and this isn't about him specifically, but it's like the Rangers in general, like forever, it's been like they had Hank, who was like, his goals against in the playoffs was like 2-1. Like he was nasty and he was well below 500. Not well below 500, but like they couldn't win. Fuck all of them because whenever he was in net, they're like, what if we scored 2 goals and no more than that, like in every very important game? How about Hank? That worked for you? And he's like, I fucking guess so. That sucks. And they just couldn't win him anything, which is brutal. But
Dude,
like,
how about-
just looking at this roster specifically, do you remember the commentary around like the Zibanejad extension? It was like, ooh, he's kind of old to give 8 years to, but you know what? Like he could have gotten way more money. And it's been this same shit with him in the playoffs where it's just like he makes so many unbelievable little plays. And the goals or the points he does produce, it's like highlight real shit. And then it's just some of these like just grade A scoring chances they just don't end up, and it happens in the playoffs. So like since he signed that fucking contract, and it's just crazy to me. Like I don't get it, and it still blows my mind that Chris Kreider is the one that's like their leading playoff scorer of all time.
big old
Like
goose egg in
it
that
doesn't
series.
work in my brain. It does not work in my brain. Yeah, then he just
Well, they talked about it on the drop with Wyshynski. They said Bobrovsky outscored both Kreider and Zibanejad in the series.
That's fucking
That's
unbelievable.
That's insane.
It is. It's just it's crazy though. And like I mean, I don't know. Like I still like. It's not like there's a whole lot of bad contracts on the Rangers team or anything. Like I can't really shit on them for that. It's just Florida. I'm not saying that there's zero.
None are agree.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that it's like, oh man, really? I don't know.
It's just these Florida Panthers, like, because again, it's not like I look at their lineup and think, oh yeah, that's an unbelievable. Like I can't look at a back end that has fucking Dmitry Kulikov, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and be like, yeah, they're gonna win the cup. And here we are. Like it's fucking unbelievable. They are just an enigma. Like they suck to play against. And like I kind of feel like that aggressive, like we are going to murder you on the forecheck type thing is what Rod Brindamore wants Carolina to do. But like the way that they play all year round, like they must be fucking dead by the time the playoffs start. And like we see them putter out every fucking year of the playoffs. But like I don't know what it is with Florida. They just like have that like unbelievable mix up front of guys that like, yes, we are the guys that will murder you. And then it's like Barkov. It's just like, I am a gentle animal. I am like one of the greatest players on the planet. And somehow everything I do is perfect. That was a game 3 or 4. That goal that he scored. Like he's fucking insane. But I just don't know how Florida does it. Like, cause again, like I look at their roster. It's not like, I mean, again, at the start of the year, I think I had them missing playoffs stay hot. Which, I mean, I don't know why that's surprising.
No, hand up. I absolutely said Florida would miss the playoffs in the preseason for the exact reason you just laid out. Their blue line scared the shit out of me, and I didn't see them like coming in and being able to ride the same wave. They had injuries to start the season. Can Bobrovsky do it again? Like, I was so negative on the Florida Panthers, and come All-Star break, I'm like, no, dude, like Panthers are my pick. It's like crazy how much of a 180 I turned. But then the opposite, my preseason pick was Edmonton over Carolina. And oh my God, did that feel so wrong early on. and here we are. I guess one of my preseason picks is right. And then one of my during season picks is right. And it's going to sound weird based on what they just did to Dallas, but I don't see it for Edmonton. I think, I don't know if you agree with this piece. I think that the Florida Panthers can flip the switch a lot quicker on this like 6-game layoff, whereas Edmonton was riding such a heater. Skinner was feeling it. They were getting contributions up and down the lineup. The guys were playing the game right after a couple of big speed bumps in the first 2 rounds. And all of a sudden, like they had gotten it done. They were locked in. They were feeling it. And now they've got to take 6 days off and come back. And I just don't know that they're going to be in that same spot they were as the Dallas series ended. Like I think if they could have chosen, they would have wanted to jump back out and play 2 days later.
Yeah, I think so. I also think still like even the long, I have never really bought into like a long wait affecting anything beyond like game 1. Like, I mean,
Fair.
Bruins, Bruins Panthers game 1, like the Bruins kicked the shit out of them. Like, and then for 5 games, the Florida Panthers like slaughtered them.
But that was one team layoff, other team not. This is both teams have the layoff. You know, like I don't know. It especially it's going to be really fascinating regardless, because you're either going to see like the true emergence of Barkov being the new Bergeron if he can shut down Draisaitl and or McDavid, or we're going to see the true, oh my God, holy shit mode of McDavid and Draisaitl if they're going to win. Like, either way, it's going to be fascinating to see. And like, these are both teams that, like, it's been a long time for Edmonton and Canada as a whole, as you already mentioned. Like Florida, like, are they the next coming of Tampa now with how they've built this team and what they're going to be doing for the next couple of years? I don't know. It's just a really interesting and weird and quirky final. And I hope Matthew Tkachuk loses his composure and goes unhinged.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, the thing with that too is like what you were saying before, just about like, I feel like Florida can like kind of turn it on quicker. I feel like the way that they play too lends itself to being like, all right, like, looks like a bunch of the top guys are like dead. We have about, I don't know, 12 other players who are just like, all right, I'm going to go kill somebody. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, that'll work. And it's just crazy too. Like, first of all, I think it was the NHL put out a tweet like, who has been like the best player in these playoffs? They put 10 guys out. They didn't even consider, like, they didn't throw Gus Forsling in. Sure. All right. Like he's clearly becoming the guy that I'm really annoyed about. Like, oh, is he the most underrated? I'm like, okay, I guess I do get it, because apparently, like, it's like this has been like his actual for real coming out party, and they've got him on such a good fucking contract. Dude, when he got picked up on waivers, I was like, God damn it! Like, oh no, this is gonna be really good for them, and I hate it. See, it's crazy how good he's been, because
I had no idea. I was not aware.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because, like, it just speaking to how good he is and has been in the playoffs, like, Aaron Ekblad has not been good. Like, Ekblad has not been good at all for them. And, like, you're dealing with him not playing like you would expect Aaron Ekblad to. And then, I'm just going to, like, I don't even have any specific, just throwing it out there. Ekman Larson and fucking Kulikov are on your back end. That is insane to me that they are just, like,
I can
murdering
see
people on their way to the final.
I can see OEL. Kulikov blows my mind. It's nuts. Now, have you seen what people are talking about online with the 2014 draft?
No.
The top 4 picks in the 2014 draft: Aaron Ekblad to the Florida Panthers, Buffalo Sabres select Sam Reinhart, Edmonton Oilers select Leon Draisaitl, Calgary Flames select Sam Bennett. That's just fun. That's just fun that they are all playing in this.
Yeah. And then on the Edmonton side of things, they got a big boost when McLeod decided to start converting a couple of chances and like playing hockey. And they really need Dylan Holloway to just keep fucking going. Like, he's been like, just the fact that he's a guy that can play at pace and like the same kind of pace that Florida wants to play with. And he has the skill, obviously. It's taken a while for it to come out too. And like, I thought he kind of I was shocked that he went to the NHL after 1 year at Wisconsin. Like, that was really weird to me, but you know what, whatever. But he's starting to look comfortable, which is like such a good thing for them. When he's looking his most comfortable as they get deeper into the playoffs, like, that's awesome. And like, we've seen him make a couple unbelievable plays. He's been able to play like alongside those top dogs so they can spread out the level a little bit. Like, they don't have to load up like McDavid, Draisaitl, whoever. Because at that point, it's like, all right, who cares who else? Who's on the other fucking like Hyman? Sure. But those two guys specifically, they're two guys that can play with pace and have started to like add a little bit of scoring throughout their lineup, that outside of just like Draisaitl on one leg, which again, his fucking production in the playoffs on one leg the last couple of years is a joke. This is unbelievable. People forget he has like a broken fucking ankle.
This is going to sound insane when his teammate is Connor McDavid, but like, straight up, I don't think there has been a better, more consistent playoff performer the past like 5 years than Leon Draisaitl. The exception being Cale Makar. I'll yield that. But like, I don't know, dude. I'm way too high on Draisaitl. I think that whoever gets a chance at snagging that guy should pay him whatever the hell he asks for and say thank you. I don't know. So I love today. That was the Merrick take. He said the Boston Bruins will give him the full 20% and say, like, please, sir, take this.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Pasternak says, like, I'd love Leon Draisaitl to come here. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, boy. Yeah, it would be bad. You know,
they trade Pasternak to make room.
Well, we just cleared out 11-6, bro. What do you think?
Now, what do you think about Edmonton Oilers players being pissed off that people keep on bringing up the Nurse contract when discussing his play?
I mean, I get it, but like, I mean, you're gonna have like that's just gonna happen. Like, I mean, I don't think
it has to be a factor. I'm sorry, it's a salary cap world. If there was no salary cap, then yeah, who gives a shit what people make? And I don't blame him for taking the money. Like, good for you. But everyone's like, oh, you can't blame him for accepting it. It's like, you really think that didn't come because he started with a certain number? You think that Edmonton just came out and like, hey, what do you think about 925? And he said yes. Like, come on, let's be real. And like, no, at the end of the day, is it everything? No, but when you're a team that, can you imagine what they could do with that money? We talked about it before. That's more than Miro Heiskanen makes. That's just insane. And to think that you're not going to tie that to whether or not he's being effective and contributing on this run, you're crazy if you think that that's going to be ignored.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying like, yeah, obviously, like that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, obviously that's gonna get fucking mentioned a whole hell of a lot. Same time, I get the players being like, "Bro, shut the fuck up." I probably say the same thing. Like,
they're probably tired of
it. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I'm sure it's exhausting, and it's not like they don't know, like, you know. But at the same time, like they're probably like, "Bro, like I don't give a fuck. Like, good for it. I want everyone to get fucking paid. Like, who cares?"
Why are you being so pissy, Darnell?
The second that what's his face brings that one out, I'll be like, all right, I'm changing my tune on this guy. He's kind of cool. Fuck, this is cool. This guy's cool.
Good old Jim Matheson.
I do feel bad for, like, I mean, he's making a shit ton of money, so like he can like,
right,
you know, wipe his tears with like, I guess whatever the
straight Dumb and Dumber. Just
I don't know what their highest bill is. Yeah. So like whatever, but at the same time, it's just like, dude, that's gotta be fucking brutal. Same shit with like Marner. I'm like, dude, I feel like fuck this. Like, this sucks. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I like that the Broberg's getting a little bit more looks over there now too. I thought he looked good in the last couple games. So yeah. It's interesting. But there you go. I'm wrong about everything.
What's the wrong prediction?
Oh God. Fucking Florida? I don't know. So that means I'm gonna say Florida, throw the house on fucking Edmonton. I don't know.
Mateo says, Z, just predict Demidov to Chicago for me quick.
Demidov to Chicago. Phew, thank God. Dodged that bullet. Crisis averted.
It seems way more realistic than some people thought, though, that like they're gonna go defenseman instead of Demidov, which
yeah, I think they'll probably go like when we do the live stream, wherever, I'll probably be like, I bet they go Levchinov or Salayev, but I feel like they wouldn't want that.
Salayev would be quite.
He's gonna go very high, so whatever. And we've talked about this before. I get it, but whatever. It's not my cup of tea. Anyways, enough NHL, I think, unless there's something else we had to talk about.
I don't really think so. I guess we do have to just address, because Isha made it the thumbnail. So I know you weren't even aware of this, but essentially Mark Messier went on Pat McAfee's show, and McAfee's talking about how like he, you know, occasionally would like do shrooms and it would like clear his mind, give him some clarity, like feel better going into a new season. And apparently Messier like went off on like, oh yeah, I did the same thing couple times. It's like, wait, what? Mark Messier. Maybe he was on shrooms during the coverage too at the end there for the Rangers, because oh my God, was he such a Rangers homer on a national panel? Like that was pretty bizarre. No?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, it's fucking something else.
Oh, it's unfortunate. Oh, this is a bummer. Like, you can't say that, dude.
Yeah, nope, can't. But you know what? Good for him. That guy doesn't give a fuck. That's wild though. Good for him. Let's all give it a shot. I don't know. Yeah, I saw this and the thumbnail. I was like, pardon? What are we supposed? We supposed to spend a lot of time on this?
No, I don't know enough.
Sure.
I'm sure Isha and Seth will go off on it for the Thursday episode because
Isha wants to talk about it on his Thursday show, so he's like, let's make them do it too. I bet they really are as fired up about this as I am. Just like when I'm going to send them all these fight videos at 4:00 in the morning. It's fucking unbelievable.
Exactly. That's exactly correct. Cole, draft date has been announced. It is a Friday this year, which is terrifying for us with our live stream we do every year. We generally get pretty dinged up and buckled. The fact that it's on a Friday is a problem. So per usual, on, again, Friday, the 28th of June, which could be 4 days after the Stanley Cup Finals end, which is crazy in its own right. We will be doing the annual live stream. We'll be throwing some more stuff out in the next week or so to promote that, let everybody know. But yes, the 28th of June, it's a Friday. Gonna be rowdy.
Mm-hmm. And then, so I think this is probably the last thing before we touch on a couple of draft things here. Mem Cup, insane final. Saginaw Spirit in Saginaw. Hunter Haight. They win the Mem Cup at home. They jumped up to a 3-0 lead and immediately blew it. Tied 3-3. And with 16 seconds left, I believe, win it on a crazy goal, too. Like, it was like, I still don't know how it ended up in the back of the net. It's one of those ones where it's just like, watching it in slow-mo is just so fucking painful to think about. Like it misses like 3 defensemen stick for not defensemen, but 3 defenders stick. Like as it slowly crosses the line, like these poor bastards. I was convinced that London was going to come in there, which I mean, there you go. I should have said this so people could have bet against it and made money. I thought like London, the way that this whole last 2 months, but specifically the OHL playoffs into the Mem Cup, the way that they were rolling, like they were kicking the shit out of teams, like 8-0 in the playoffs. Like in the OHL final, they swept Oshawa. I think one of the games it was like 9-0. It was just an absolute shit kicking.
I love how they have a team of Hymans too that all just have so much money because it's the London Knights.
Yeah, it's fine. No one knows about that. But Saginaw, it was cool that it was in Saginaw too. So that was great. But Hunter Haight,
Mateo takes his Mem Cup too. Bringing the Mem Cup back to the States. I love that. If the Edmonton Oilers win the cup, all I'm gonna do is just troll that we brought the Mem Cup to the States before they brought the Stanley Cup to Canada. So
yeah, I mean legally we're required to do that. So
yeah, Hunter Haight, go off, man. Dude.
Yeah, he's such a goddamn good player. The thing, you look at his points this year, and they don't really jump off the page. I think he had I'll pull it up right here. In the regular seasons, 67 points, 68 games. In the playoffs, he was more of not necessarily like a role player, but somewhat of like a supporting guy. Like he wasn't really necessarily driving their offense or anything, but when they needed a key play, he was the guy they would look to. And I mean, he shifted over to the wing, which once he does get to the NHL, I do think ultimately he's probably more likely to be a right wing. He does have just such a good shot too, which he's really improved on the last couple of years, especially since he got drafted. But I mean, the skill that he has and how smart he is, I don't see a world where he doesn't find success in the NHL. We can talk about the size if we want to, but it's always going to be weirdly people's concerns. But I mean, the fact is he's got great feet. He's incredibly mobile. He's very smart. And he can be a playmaker and he can also score himself. So I think he had 13 points in the playoffs this year. And then I think it was I don't think it was the 7. I think it was the last group stage game, but he was player of the game in that one, which was an absolute snipe in the third period to win it for him. But I mean, even when he's not on the score sheet, I thought he was noticeable in pretty much every game this year. So we'll see what happens, come next year. I don't see him being ready to look for a spot next year, but who the fuck, like with this goddamn roster situation at the contracts, I don't see a world where there's a whole lot of guys that are going to be like able to even compete for a roster spot out of camp. So I would assume that he'll be in Iowa next year.
Which, dude, that's the other thing we didn't talk about for we didn't get to the Dallas Stars. I'll leave most of it out, but we got to talk about Ryan Suter getting sad. Is he going to get bought out again?
If he gets bought out, he's going to have half the NHL paying. Like, someone's going to sign him. Like, he's going to have half the NHL paying. Like, he's going to get checks like every day of the week. Like, at this point, like, it's like, we can't give him all his checks on Friday. It's nuts. It's unbelievable. I love that. So
it's
selfishly, it's pretty crazy how like he got bought out. Like, it felt like overnight everyone in Minnesota was like, yeah, fuck that guy. Like, this guy's a dick. Like, and everyone was like, yeah, fuck it, we don't care. And he like his play hadn't dipped drastically. Like, it was just like, yeah, you know what? He was kind of an asshole when he was there. We don't really care. It's phenomenal.
It's just like that lady on the train for the holidays. Guy's like, fuck's her problem? Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah, fuck her. Literally, it's the same thing. Same thing.
Man,
God, yeah, it is funny. We'll see what happens there.
Fascinating. But yeah, Joe Pavelski, we should at least just say sad to see him go.
What a fucking career. Just like one of the most consistent players like ever. Like, this playoffs was the first time we saw his play like dip for an extended period of time, which was like a couple of weeks.
Dude.
Which is insane.
What? So he's like, everyone's heralding him for taking in, Wyatt Johnston, shepherding him along, like being a great role model. What if Johnston keeps living with him next year if he retires? And like, apparently hockey was the only thing keeping him straight. Like, he's like just like an absolute like fiend, like drinking, partying, whatever, and just like tanks Wyatt Johnston's career. I don't want it, but it would be so funny.
That is a wild thought. I didn't see that one coming. All right. Thanks a lot, Joe. Way to go. But in all seriously, like, since he entered the NHL, like, just a model of consistency, and the fact, like, even in the regular season,
points of the infamous 03 draft,
which is insane.
It's crazy. And now there's only like 5 guys left, one of which is Ryan Suter.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch him be the one that lasts the longest.
I know. God damn it. Probably. Cockroach, you just can't die. But I am fascinated by players like Joe Pavelski and the conversation around like Hall of Fame. Like Hall of Incredible, Hall of Fame is, I don't like. So no major awards, no cups.
I'm going to take the stance that you took on Mikko Koivu. I'm going to say I won't be mad if he does, but I'm definitely not going to be leading the charge for him to get into the Hall of Fame, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I think that makes sense.
He doesn't have the career where I look at it and I'm like, this is like dishonorable to the Hall of Fame. Now, I will say a guy like McElhinney not getting in, that I would think that he'd be more deserving. I don't know, but I don't really care. Like Joe Pavelski, like what a guy. He's got the longevity, like you said, until this playoffs. Like he's been a stud all throughout his career. But yeah, if like gun to my head, if I have to decide, he's probably not getting in.
Yeah, probably not. But I don't know. I like some of the decisions they make. I'm like, all right, whatever. That's interesting. Sure. But yeah, no, exactly. Like if you get to like, all right, I mean, I wouldn't have myself, but I don't really. That's another thing I don't really get that fired up about. I just think the conversations are always interesting to me. Where it's like, I don't even know what. Because there's not obviously not like a set guy like you must do this
Right.
Because it's just crazy. Like everyone thinks very highly of Joe Pavelski. It feels like everyone's in the same boat though. Where it's like,
people are going to grade it on a curve because he was drafted in the 7th round. It's like, okay, he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. Yeah. That does come up every time. That's one of the first, like, oh, one of the last picks. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Didn't know that had anything to do with anything, but all right, sure. Yeah, no, interesting. But yeah, like you said, though, Joe Pavelski, Jesus Christ. Like, it's crazy to see him actually. Like, he might do this another 5 fucking years. I thought he was like signed like a 3-year deal. I was like convinced he's just a machine. So it's gonna be weird. Yeah, no, I mean, he basically said as much, but we'll see what happens. All right. Draft stuff.
Yeah, draft stuff. And I'm in the dark on this. We're talking here about guys that could be potential steals, high value grabs that could fall into the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft. And I think this maybe goes hand in hand too with some of the discussion around like maybe the Wild do trade back because like that tier of like no doubt like 100% gotta grab them guys ends somewhere between 10 and 12 in a lot of scouts' eyes. So dropping back in the 1st to pick up 2nds, 3rds, whatever, like maybe it makes sense. So let's talk about some of the guys that could be there that you're really high on that maybe other scouts aren't as high on and could be available, like a Riley Haight this past year where like you had him mocked at the end of the 1st and he ends up going with the last pick in the 2nd.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the guys that I've got here that we'll talk about, I think for the most part, any like public scouting thing or whatever, everyone's on the same page with these guys where it's like either maybe they're just like not enough to justify a 1st round pick or whatever, but like everyone, like I think most of the guys I'll bring up here are probably somewhere in the 2nd, early 3rd, but like first guy that I want to bring up who has come on unbelievably strong, especially in the CHL playoffs and in the Mem Cup, is a kid, Sam O'Reilly of the London Knights. Plays center there, 6'1", around 180, 90 pounds. Start of the year was a premier defensive shutdown guy, not a ton of points. And like, this is someone that like, we talked about this with Hunter Haight after he was drafted, where it's like, yeah, this year the OHL, the numbers don't jump off the page, but like look out next year, he might have a full on breakout season. Didn't necessarily like work out like that way, but with Sam O'Reilly, like how he played in the playoffs, especially, he's got to be at the top of everyone's list for like, watch out for like a guy that's going to outperform their like draft year in their like draft plus 1 year. Like, again, a guy that numbers aren't really going to jump off the page at you, played anywhere in the middle 6, was more of a supportive guy for them in the playoffs. But as the playoffs ramped up, like he starts putting up big time points. I think in like the semis, he had 2 assists in that game. But one of the smartest players in the draft at the forward position, like again, elite defensive play. But like he plays so quick that like I think his skill probably is a little bit underrated. But for like, I think there is still a ton of skill there. But his ability to play fast, he's a guy where like he plays fast and his brain, like his feet and his brain operate at the same pace, which is like a really something like a skill that I feel like doesn't get a whole lot of attention just because it's kind of hard to actually say or like describe that. But just his attention to detail and how advanced of a game he plays, and the fact that as like the games that mattered most, like in those games he was showing up, and for my money probably one of the 3 London Knights that stood out the most, especially the playoffs. He was like a key guy for them here. I think he probably goes middle to early 2nd round, starting from like 40 to 50. But I think when all is said and done in a couple of years, we'll look back and like wonder how this is a kid that did not go. How did he not go in the 1st round? Like he's got the size, the skating, again, the high-end 2-way play, and the more that he's willing to like hold onto the puck and make plays himself, the more we see the skill and the offensive upside. So again, not a guy that's going to go to the NHL and put up like 60, 70, 80 points, but I think he could be a middle 6, like high-end defensive guy that has that offensive ability. And again, maybe like a 50-point guy in the NHL, which still is like a very, very valuable player. So one of the best players on a championship team, and probably guys not going to get many first-round looks. But again, I think in a couple years we could look back and say like Sam O'Reilly probably should have gone till under the first round. Again, it's just a question of like what's the actual upside there, which is why he's probably positioned somewhere 40s to 50s. But a guy I like a lot, especially as the development, like the different things that we saw from him, the evolution of his game throughout his draft year, like very, very impressive. So he'd be a guy to look out for early on day 2, probably.
Nice.
Let's see. Bring up my actual. I have a couple of notes, I think, on the next guy too. Next guy, left shot D-man Thomas Galvish, who throughout the year has gotten some like first round love. Such an interesting player where like, you know, you could call him, he's like a 5'10", so automatically you have to say undersized, I guess. But left shot D-man out of Czechia. But he's had moments when the other thing, like you could say like undersized is okay to say. I think he's like 150 pounds. So he's going to have to get a little bit bigger, at least a little bit stronger, whatever. But the thing with him is like throughout the last 2 years, like we've seen some high end offense out of him. And like, he, like when you look back at the Hlinka last summer, he was more of like bottom 6 supportive guy. And then by the end of that term, he's playing like 30 minutes a night. And I mean, like, I think he was in the U20 league in Czechia for like a couple weeks. Then he made his way full time into their first team, playing pro hockey, played 20 minutes a night in Czechia, but like one of the most smooth skating 2-way defensemen in the draft. And like his defending is no joke. Like, he's also just that guy, like the nonstop motor, just a pain in the fucking ass to play against, where like you can't beat him wide. If you try to like chip it past him and go retrieve it, he's going to either beat you to the puck or he's just going to take it off you, because even though he is somewhat on the smaller end of the scale here, like he is still quite strong. And like, he also knows that like he's smaller, but he knows how to use like his size, if that makes any sense, where it's just like he knows how to position himself, the routes he takes, the pucks, like when he chooses to engage physically, like he somehow wins these battles against, like, again, like in Czechia in the pro league, like he's winning these battles against guys who like ex-NHL guys or guys that could be playing like whatever bottom 6 of the NHL that choose to stay in their home country. But and the thing with him, like we've seen high offensive upside from him in the past. I don't know if that will be necessarily his path, like a full-time NHL role. Again, I just think with how smart he is, how well he defends, and just like that skating ability, like that's going to be his way. He's probably going to be a guy that you won't notice a whole lot. Just because like, I think as the year went on, he kind of realized that like his path was just like being super reliable. And relying on that skating and defending to like just make plays and be effective. So he might be a guy that's playing like 25, 26 minutes a night, and you just like forget how valuable he is because he might not do anything that's going to jump off the page at you. But another guy I think will probably go anywhere from like 50 to 60, but a real nice pickup. And I don't think it'll take him a whole lot of time to make his way over. It's just like the one mitigating factor could be the size thing, just because he's like so light. But again, like he's for whatever reason like been just like doubted as here, like in every like situation, like Hlinka again, like he started on that bottom pair, like even this summer at the U18s, I think he was on their second pair. By the end of the U18s, he was their number 1 defenseman again, playing like 30 minutes every game against every team's top line. So I'm really high on him. Again, I think at one point at Smart Sky we had him right around the first round. I don't know if we ever actually had him in there, but I think Smart
Scouting has him 36.
Yeah, so we just had him just outside. I don't think he'll be falling too far from there, but again, like it's just going to be whether teams have like that big of a problem with the size. And that's, again, the fact that he's 148, 150 pounds, like that I understand why teams might be like, oh, that's kind of concerning. But I just think he is such a smart player. He is such a good defender, and the mobility. Like, it's one thing to be small, but like if you can skate your way out of trouble like he can, like I think that makes a big difference. So really like him a lot. Very curious to see where he ends up going. So but yeah, no, Thomas Galvis, but definitely worth mentioning, I thought. Let's see. Moving on here. A guy that we did talk about him a little bit, and it was funny after we talked about him when we did the Russia top 10. I think I had him 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. But Yegor Surin, like the second we did, like it was the weeks after I started watching him more. And I think like when we were doing the top 10 Russians, when we talked about him, I was like, yeah, like a really just a solid two-way guy, like maybe not elite offense, like no like high-end offensive players, whatever. He put on a clinic. He was just like toe dragging guys like into oblivion, like for the next couple of weeks, where it's like, once again, stay hot. Good call, bro. But he's another guy I think probably is on most second, like anywhere, again, like probably a lot of people have him closer to 40, 50, 60 maybe. But he's a big kid. He's like 6'1", 6'2", close to 200 pounds. Got a cup of coffee in the KHL this year, played I think 3 or 4 games. But just another guy with a nonstop motor. And again, especially after we did our Russia top 10 list, the skill just starts popping off. And the plays that he was making, like especially in the playoffs for Loco, I think he had over a point per game there. And was by far the best player on his team. I think the one on Loco had, I want to say close to like within 10 points of him in their playoff run. They went to the final. But like he is a guy that he is not ever standing still. Like he's everywhere on the ice. It's insane. So like in the offensive zone again, as the year went on, like we saw the skill pop off. Like he's on pucks more. He's looking to make plays. He could score goals himself. Definitely more of like the playmaker, I think, than a goal scorer. But either way, even if the offense doesn't really come to like that full on potential there, like his nonstop motor and his defensive value, I like him a lot. And I also really undervalue like his transition play is like it was comical. Now it's always tough to gauge like the Russian Junior League, the U20 league over there, which again people can watch for free on YouTube every single game. So I encourage everyone to do that. But the big knock on that league a lot of times is like so many of those kids are just like all offense. It's all they give a shit about. But like he was actually like making legitimate, solid two-way plays, like defensive plays, or even just small plays on the puck where it's not just like chip and chase. Let me go get that puck and like just body somebody and score. Let me just toe drag some guy. Like he was literally making like solid plays along the half wall in the neutral zone, just like smart decisions where like you're just seeing like an NHL style, like an NHL brain kind of operate. And like he got again way better as the year went on, and as the year went on, like just seeing the skill pop off even more, definitely like raised my intrigue a whole lot. I think at one point Prodman put him in his first round. That's a bit aggressive for me, but I do get the appeal when you're looking at like a big. I think he's a no doubt center too, which obviously is going to boost his value. But another guy like late second, early third potentially. They might be that's a guy that might be a real nice pickup for someone just to like take a swing there, just because I do see like there is some legit upside there. And again, even if he doesn't pop off as like an offensive guy, like he's gonna find you value somewhere in the game. Because again, like, it's unbelievable. Like he's literally everywhere on the ice. Like it's just I don't know how he just doesn't stop. Like he could probably play 26, 27 minutes a night at center. It's a joke. So I like him a lot. So I'm very curious to see where he goes, just because as the like picks go on, that's when like you could see a Russian go in the second, you could see him drop to like the 5th round, and like it's pretty unpredictable at that point. So we'll see. But I do think we talked like briefly talked about him at one point. So
we really only talked about him in the Russian top 10. So
got it.
Good one. You got one queued up?
Yeah, I got a couple or two more here.
So then we got a couple of questions that came through as well that I'll pull up, but let's get through your guys first.
Got it. So one of the more controversial players kind of in this draft were like this guy, I don't even know where I'm going to end up having him. But Justin Poirier, right wing in the queue, undersized sniper. He's probably a top 5 shot in this draft, potentially top 5 like hands, like overall just skill. What he can do with the puck is comical. And I'm going to be fascinated to see where he falls. I think I got to pull up how many points he actually ended up putting up this year in the queue. 130. No, wait. That was the wrong one. Dumbass. All right. Yeah, not 130. 82 in the regular season, or 27 in the playoffs. But he's 5'8", 180 pounds, absolute sniper that runs guys. Super physical. One of the best goal scorers we've ever seen come through the queue. Again, 51 goals in the regular season at 68 games for them, and 18 goals in 17 playoff games in the queue this year. For me, like the upside with that offense, and like the fact that he is very, very short, but he is a fucking bull, and he is super physical, and he can just pick defenses apart at will. Like, yeah, sure, he does have a lot of points on the power play, just because like if you put them on the power play, he's going to punish you, but he scores at even strength. Like, he's not like a defensive black hole, but you're looking at a kid where he kind of almost reminds you of like a DeBrincat, where it's like this kid is a small just sniper, but he loves that physical aspect of the game. But again, I do think he's such a smart player, and his ability, again, just to pick defenses apart. Like, he'll draw you out of position, creative shooting lane for himself, like no problem. He's got decent feet as well, so I like him a lot. It's one where it's like, all right, how much is there outside the goal scorer? Like, there is a decent amount, but like you're looking again like a 5'8", 180 pound, like physical.
5'8", 180 though, like that's what
I mean. It's like, yeah, he's
like I want to see him stand next to Trevor Connolly.
Mm-hmm. So the big decision that teams are going to have to make here is like that profile is so rare to hit at like the highest of levels in the NHL.
Wait,
but the guys that do hit,
do you just mean QMJHL or?
yeah. I just feel like his stature. All right, like
I know.
I know. But like just the undersized goal scorer that's like quite just like fearless. There's physicality, but it's like the guys that do hit. Like if you want to talk about the guys that have recently came through, where it's guys like Cole Caulfield, Alex DeBrincat, Logan Stankoven. Like there's proof of concept there that like guys that look a whole lot like, or guys that looked a whole lot like him when they were in their draft season, the guys that do hit, like they're legit impact guys. And like he has that upside just by way of like his shot is legitimately unbelievable. I would easily put it top 5, maybe top 3 in this draft class. It's just like, it's going to be interesting to see which teams be like, we have to do it. Like we have to take him. Like, how are we like going to let this kid slip? I think I'll be shocked if he does make it to the 3rd round, but I can understand why teams, especially when they look at this draft class of like the all tools, haven't put it all together type profile. Then you've got a kid like Justin Poirier. It's like, yeah, we probably know exactly what he's going to do if he like hits. He's going to score 50 fucking goals a year in the NHL. So that's going to be that's one that I would be comfortable taking in the 2nd round. I don't really have a problem with it. But I think the teams are going to have to be like, can we look past like the stat sheet? Can we look past 5'8"? Like if we could do that, we've got super high ceiling with a kid like Justin Poirier. So I'm going to be fascinated to see where he goes.
With a guy like that, do you feel like a team is more inclined to take him if they don't have a first round pick and they're swinging for that first round upside? Or is he more inclined to go to a team that has a lot of picks, like in the middling rounds? And they're like, yeah, we can roll the dice on this one.
I ultimately think it's going to be like, I don't think it'll necessarily be a team with a lot of picks. I do think like it's going to be like, if we get to 50 and he's sitting there, like, I think it's a no brainer. Like, I think that's just like, I do think teams are going to try to be like, 5-8, like, are we going to do this? Like, really? And it's like, bro, 50 goals in 61 regular season games, 18 goals in 17 playoff games. Like, when these guys hit, they hit.
Low-hanging fruit, who do you think the team is that would kind of be obvious almost to take him?
I mean, I look at the track record of a team like Carolina, whatever, like other scouts, like we think that's risky. Like they've been taking every single high-end Russian fucking like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round the last couple of years. Last year, they took Nadeau at the end of the first round, which is like similar-ish profile. Nadeau wasn't 5'8", but like his main calling card was like one of the best shots, goal scorers in that draft. Then like they're a team that they don't really give a shit about like the conventional wisdom. Or well, not even wisdom, but just like however other team like approaches it, like they don't give a fuck. I could see them taking a swing on him too.
I'm not even gonna go
I
off.
don't care.
I'm not gonna go off of scouting record, but the fact that he plays in the queue goes into it, as well as his size. Dude, if the guy can score and the guy can play, Marty St. Louis can get the best out of him. And he is a Quebecois.
Yeah, well, that's what it's like. All right, like who do we give the puck to, Caulfield or Poirier? Fuck, like god damn it,
2 different lines. It's perfect.
They're like, God, those two on the same power play is so scary.
Same power play, sure, but you can't put two guys that small that are so one-dimensional. You can't put them on the same line.
Hell yeah, you can. Be awesome.
Or, no, you've got like a 7-foot center. And
they take Caden Lindstrom at fucking 5th overall, who's like he's just like 6'6", fucking animal, killing people, scoring goals, making plays, and then you've got the two pit bulls coming up behind. They just like appear, then they're like F2 and F3.
That can happen. Like this is a realistic scenario.
Yeah, I hate my life.
I love it. That okay, if that
Makes
happens,
me so sad.
That's going to be a fun narrative to play with.
Yeah, fuck. God, I hate thinking about that a lot.
Awesome.
I really don't like it.
Awesome.
It hurts me. All right.
All right. Who else you got?
Last guy, we did briefly talk about him again in the Russia thing. But a guy I think probably has a chance. I could see him going 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and like it. I'm very, very curious to see where a kid, Matt Vaishirvin, left shot D-man, 6'3", 200 pounds, elite defender. And like, not just playing in Russian juniors. Like, he played, I got to pull up how many games he ended up playing the KHL. Yeah, he played 11 KHL games this year. He had 2 assists, good for him. But like when he played, like, especially towards the end of that like 11 game stint, they were happily putting him out there for 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes. And like, he's shutting down some of the best players in the KHL when he got a good look. Not at all a whole lot of offensive upside. He's like, that being said, like you still see, like, it's not like he's like, he doesn't put up a ton of points, but he just makes the right play a lot of times. He's very, very conservative when he does have the puck. So he's not looking to really make more plays, which probably like is why he's not really in many people's first, second rounds or whatever. But like his defensive ability at his size, his skating ability, like he is legit. I would love it if I had any of my favorite teams, if they want to take him 2nd round, 3rd round, I am more than fine with that, because I think there isn't a world where he doesn't end up playing legit minutes, even if it's like another guy that you don't notice a whole lot, just because his calling card is consistency and just like taking the puck away from you. he's a super valuable defender to have. He's probably middle to, even if he's on your bottom pair, like you can still play him 15 to 20 minutes on your bottom pair, all D zone starts. Yeah, I probably feel comfortable saying 5, but like a valuable 5, where it's like, yeah, he's not, first of all, he's not taking the bank, but you could play him in pretty much any situation and against the other team's best players. And I mean, like, even in the 11 games that he played, I thought he looked better there than he did playing like U20. I think part of that was just the fact that, like, when you do go to the KHL, you actually have to like play a smart game. And that's kind of just like where his, like, that's where you notice him the most, is when it's like he's being called upon to make like high leverage situation, just a smart play instead of just being like, let me just skate this one out myself. Like, just super, super reliable. Again, nothing super flashy, but 6'2", 200 pounds, high end skating, elite defensive play. And he did it in the KHL for like a short stint, which like 11 games also isn't nothing when you're playing as many minutes as he played. But I really, really like him a lot. I think he's a guy that could go 3rd, 4th round, but I think that's going to be a real nice pickup for anyone that does want to take that swing. The one thing that I could see playing in his favor to go earlier than that is the fact that he's in a solid skating 6'2" defenseman. If he was a right shot, he'd probably be fucking first round.
he'd probably go number 2 to Chicago, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Okay. Got one from Mateo here quick. Will Dominic Badinka make it to 45?
Yeah, probably. I feel like that's roughly the range. Like, I think 45 is like the spot for him.
Over
probably.
Under 44.5.
Fuck, he's a right shot. So the right shot, he's tall, he plays defense, he skates. Like, god damn, that's like
good looking son of a bitch.
I'm just gonna say 42. I'll take the under. I'll say 42. So then I'll reverse what I said. No, he won't.
He will not make it to 45. Sorry, Mateo.
Now I've said both, so I can't be wrong. I've said both.
Yeah,
again, like the fact that he's a right shot, he's a good skater, and like he's a defenseman. Like that, like that's a solid recipe to go earlier than I don't know, 45.
Yep, probably.
But I like him a lot. Yeah. He's kind of a loose cannon though.
Yeah, fair. This next one will stem into 2 quick hits that I need from you selfishly in case we get video clips together. But here from whoever, I think my dream realistic scenario is the Wild's first 2 picks is getting Cole Yzerman and Alphonse Fry. So first, let's talk Alphonse Fry. Do you think that he makes it to where the Wild pick in the 2nd round?
That is a fascinating question because middle of the year, he had played himself into the 1st round easily. Like, he has the size, high-end skating, all-around defensive play, like in transition, in zone, and then he started flashing offensive upside. As the year went on, his stock, I'm telling you, I know, like, his stock has tanked. Like, it was starting to become just wildly inconsistent, like so many questionable decisions that he made that he hadn't before. So I don't know if he's going to be there in the 1st round. I think he'll go past the 1st round at this point, just given like how the rest of the year went. And like the U18s did not go well either for him. I mean, there's plenty of guys that I've now seen like have Leo Salim Wallanius ahead of him. Who, I mean, he's awesome too, but definitely a 2nd, 3rd round guy for me. That being said, I have 2 buddies that haven't had Fry in their top 10. So I'm just like, I have no idea.
For you, let's simplify it. Given the talent that is likely around in the 2nd, obviously there's no way we can project who's there today, but given who's likely to be there in the 2nd round, do you want the Wild to take Alphonse Fry? Like, would that be a win for you? Or are you like, maybe there's someone better?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now where like I've been on the Alphonse Fry train like pretty much since week 1 of this year. Like just watching the J20 as much as I have. I've liked them a lot. As this slide started, I'm starting to like see all of the red flags that were there before, and the fact that I've seen much less of his like high end upside than I have of him just being like looking like a decent middle pair guy that like has questions if he's gonna make it all the way to the NHL like as a full-time guy. I like him a lot. I totally now like we've seen the red flags come up more and more often. And I still think I like the profile, like the fact that he's his size and he's shown the two-way ability, and the fact that he's just a solid skater. I think he's a guy that can make it to the NHL on a full-time basis. I think with a Wild pick in the second round, which we have the actual pick.
Let me see here.
Is it 40? Is it late 40s? That's one where, like, if you had asked me that question in February, I'd be like doing backflips. Now I'm like, I bet there's going to be someone with more upside.
We've got our own second. So yeah, mid for. I'm guessing that's why Mateo asked if Badinko would make it to 45. It's probably 45.
That's a good. That was just popping into my head. 45. Oh God, it's so weird to me because like up until like recently, I've been like, if you can get him at 45, that's awesome. At this point, I kind of see him middle of this, like closer to the third round. So I would think like let's say it is 45.
That math works out. 32 plus 13 is 45. So yeah.
Yeah, we like that. That works. I think there might be a player there with more upside.
Okay.
And when I look like the left side of their defense, I mean, the fact that he can play both sides helps too, but like, I think there might be someone that's got a little bit higher upside there at 45, but if they take him, I would also be like, all right, like, it's not where I'm like, oh, you can't do that. I mean, depending who's there, obviously. There's always that caveat to every scenario that we throw out there, but I think there's a very good chance that you could find someone at 45 with some more upside.
All right, and then handicap it for me, whether like we'll even keep it as simple as you got to go 51, 49, one way or the other at a minimum. Will Cole Yzerman be available at 13? Do you think it's more or less likely?
I'm starting to think it's going to be more likely.
Okay.
Just like, especially with the defenseman whose value this year has just gone so like we saw an early run on defenseman when we weren't even expecting it last year. This year coming in, we're already expecting a bunch to go like top 12. That makes me think like there's got to be other guys too that maybe we have pegged closer to the end of the first that might even sneak up there. But then even like you look at the late push for a kid like Beckett Seneke, who like people are talking about Montreal taking him at 5th, which is nuts. While I totally get the appeal, that feels crazy to me. I just like he hasn't had any point this season where you're like, oh yeah, his stock's rising. Like it's been flat, decline flat. Like it hasn't gone up. Well, meanwhile, like everyone in the first round at this point, like their stock is just like skyrocketed. Meanwhile, his is either plateaued or like
fair.
Again, the fact that he is the leading goal scorer in the fucking program, and we are looking at him like there's gonna be people mad if they take him at 13 is crazy.
Did you see what your boy Cam threw out today? So Cam Robinson said that he's going to be doing like a film room session on Cole Yzerman and thought right away, like, has anyone ever beaten the 97 goals that he put up in like 14U or whatever? And Phil Kessel's numbers, man, fucking stupid. I have to pull it up now. It was so good. Let's see. I should get this quickly because I know I quoted it. So here it is verbatim. Working on a Cole Yzerman film room and wondered if his 97 goals in 50 games with Shattuck's U14 team was a league record. And then I saw Phil Kessel's stat line, ... exploding head emoji. Phil Kessel in the 01-02 season as a 14-year-old for the Madison Capitals 14U AAA. In 86 games played, I need you to take a guess on how many goals he scored. And just know that you're going to be too low.
140.
You're too low.
Oh my God. 200?
You're a little high. 176. He had
Oh my
176 goals, 110 assists for 286 points in 86 games. I
What do
love
you do?
Phil Kessel unequivocally. It's fantastic.
Like what the fuck? What the fuck do you even do if you're like Phil's on the ice? I'm skating. I'm like I tore everything in my body. I'm not eating this dash.
Oh shit, it's so good, man. It's great.
You know there were guys in that league that were probably like dash 60 just because they were playing
him.
Phil Kessel. Just right, it was like he's all 60 of my fucking dashes.
They would have been a top 10 defenseman in the NHL, but they ended up not pursuing hockey any longer because Phil Kessel demoralized them. And
yeah, they left hockey. They abandoned hockey to pick up the violin, you know? Like they're like, fuck this. I'm doing music. I don't even like sports anymore.
Sean Cosgrove, his dad promised him nachos if he scored. I love that.
There you go.
Love it very much. All right. So the last two things then, Z, because those are the only prospect questions that came in. Two guys selfishly that I want you to, like, you don't have to go like too in depth, but for anyone out there who has paid zero attention to prospects, zero attention to like the 2024 draft eligibles, I got two guys that I want you to just lay out who they are. Give me pros, cons, whatever. Just kind of lay out the profile for these two guys. First one we'll go on is Cole Yzerman. Go.
Best goal scorer in the draft. Best shot in the draft. Unbelievably confusing profile because a guy that we should have had or did have pegged to go 2 or 3 12 months ago. And now we're sitting here like, is he going to slip to like 15? And it's crazy because I think there are a lot of fans of teams who are picking 1 to 15, where if they took Cole Yzerman, they'd be pissed. And he's the best goal scorer the program's had, the USN TDP, the best goal scorer of all time in that fucking team. And he's slipping. Like his stock is just decreased as the years gone on. I think EP did fit it, like Elite Prospects. They I think they just put out their whatever. It's like 400 fucking pages. It's insane. No, it's more. Sorry, I think it's almost 2,000 pages. I think they profiled 400 players. I think they have Yzerman at 13 in their final ranking. So there's a very real scenario where he ends up there. And like when you look at the Wild's, the prospect pool in general, I would be thrilled if they did that. I would be very happy. There will be people that will be pissed, which is fascinating to me. But Cole Yzerman is the best goal scorer in this draft. The upside is insane. The floor is like also pretty low. So it's very confusing. I will be happily wrong about, like, if I'm wrong about this, I don't care because I'm being positive about it. I think he's a smart enough player. I think he's a good enough, like he has enough tools in his bag that he's going to find a way, like he's going to score as long as he like sticks in the NHL on a full-time basis. Even if he's like a middle six guy, he's going to be a goal scorer. But I think he's smart enough to make himself useful in the NHL, even if like the goal scoring ceiling doesn't pop out. I still think he's going to score. Like you just can't, like he's inevitable. Like when he's on the ice, it's like he could do nothing and score. He could score twice this shift somehow. I don't even know. It's not possible. Like he might do that. Like he's that good of a fucking goal scorer. I started making the highlight video for him. It's the funniest highlight video of all time. He is in like 4 different spots on the ice. The whole thing. He takes about 11 strides. It's just him ripping pucks. But like his shot is just phenomenal. Like it doesn't even look like he's moving his hands. The puck just flies off his stick and it's unbelievably accurate. He pounds it. So I think if you get him at 13, you should be very excited about that. It's just gonna be fascinating when like the amount of negativity that could possibly come up when he gets taken.
Man, for the Wild specifically, do you almost feel like that would be a good counterbalancing move when we take a guy like Charlie Stramel, who again, you fought against all of the naysayers, the haters when the pick was made. Again, was it maybe questionable with some of the talent on the board? Sure. But this is a guy that in your mind was a no shit bottom 6 center in the NHL if he continues to progress. Whereas like that's kind of the safe pick. big center that can play bottom six at minimum. Now this year we take the guy who is all ceiling, all floor. That's it. Like, does that almost make sense for the Wild just from that lens, or does that not even matter to you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really, like, for me, I am so in on the upside.
Yeah. Now,
like, so in on the upside.
You said he's from like your area of
Countover.
Mass
like,
right?
I can throw a rock at it. Yeah.
So throw that rock. Let's get him on here. Pre-draft, post-draft, I don't give a shit. Like, we need Cole Eiserman on here to talk positive things to you about selecting BU, and I need him to formally apologize to me for leaving Minnesota.
It is. It's so.
Does he regret
funny.
it now that Matthew Wood's there?
Yeah, maybe.
and
that's gonna be a thing that.
No. Celebrini signs immediately after the draft, and Asman's like, "Yeah, I want to go back to Minnesota."
Dude, I pulled up the Elite Prospects draft guide. So like they have their profile, and in the top corner it has like their like if they have traits that are like elite for this draft. Mm-hmm. He has 3: sniper, and sniper.
That's actually awesome. I'm gonna put up. We should do that for the draft show. Like for these players, we should have like a pros and cons list, and for him, just have 5 in a row of sniper, rips pucks, twisted wrister, sniper.
Mm-hmm. He's just a fascinating fucking player. Yeah, they have shades of Phil Kessel. Interesting one was Max Pacioretty.
I mean, dude's a goal scorer, and weird, both are American.
Yeah, and the thing with Eiserman too is like he actually has like a physicality to his game that obviously doesn't get mentioned whatsoever. But like he has that in his bag, which is again another one of the things that like makes me think like he is a smart enough guy and smart enough player, and like I still think that he's got enough in his bag to like be a very, very good NHL player. And the fact that he's the best goal scorer of this draft obviously is going to substantially increase his chances. But I still, if you get him at 13, that you should be doing backflips. And again, it is funny, like literally when we were talking at the beginning of the year, it's like, it is crazy. Like we don't see a whole lot of guys like from like, especially right down the street from me, like end up in Minnesota, not Boston. Like 3 weeks later, he's like, I'm going to be here. I was like, fuck, my bad. Once again, I was wrong again. Actually, I guess that one I was kind of right.
No, that I was going to say that one you were right. What are you talking about? We're going to pretend that didn't happen. Scratch it from the records. Funny though, because the second guy I was going to talk about, we've got Dan Corey coming in and saying the Wild are going to get, which I think most Wild fans would be like floored in a good way to get this guy. You're getting Hellenius. Z, for people who have paid zero attention, who/what is a Consta Hellenius?
One of the best two-way centers available in this draft class.
Is he a center?
It's fat. Yeah. And even if he, like again, like because it's the NHL, there's always me a question. Can you be, what is he? 5'10", 5'11", and be a whatever center in the NHL? Yes, you can, but whatever. It's like something that people just have to bring up. And again, he's like pretty slight, so I get the question marks, but again, was producing half a point per game in the first division in Finland, point per game in the playoffs. And every year you have like every draft class, there's like the top, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 guys. There's always like, all right, like, are they ready to go next year? Konstalainius is a guy that probably could play in the NHL next year. Like Finland, in order to make it or play in that league on a full-time basis, you have to play a pretty sound all-around game. It's not a high-scoring league. It's very, very defensive. It's fucking super physical. And he excelled. Like he was their first or second line center from day one this year. and like he's got obvious defensive value as well. Solid enough skater, and again, just like such a smart player. One of my favorite sayings whenever people bring up prospect, if there's like a supercomputer between the ears, I love that saying. I think he's a guy that like fits that as well. Where he's just like, he knows how to read the play. He's always in the right position. He's first guy back when there's a turnover. So I like him a ton. If you get him at 13, and you should look at like, you're looking for like guys that should profile to definitely be a center, which again, I get there might be question marks just given the size, but for me, I absolutely see him being a center at the NHL level, even if it's like third line. I think he can be a guy that's going to give you solid two-way play, put up decent points, and be a super reliable guy in the middle of your lineup. So I like him a ton. And another guy, if you get him at 13, that'd be great. I still have him go. I would imagine if New Jersey doesn't trade away their 10th overall pick, for me, he just fits so well for what they're looking for, and the fact that he could play.
I was going to say over under 9.5, and so you're saying maybe just a touch over.
Yeah, I think like given how well this year went for him, in any other year he'd probably go anywhere from 7 to 10. But given the top defenseman in this draft, that like there's gonna be 4 or 5 that go top 10. Just defensemen. I think that probably pushes him closer to anywhere from 10 to 15. I like him around 8, but I would say I'm guessing that if New Jersey does end up keeping that pick at 10, because again, they've been open about like they're willing to deal if the price is right, obviously. Like they're probably looking at goaltending, which even that's crazy to me, but whatever. I still think I think I mocked him going to New Jersey, because he's the exact profile player that they love in general, but fits what they're looking for so well. And again, like one of the more NHL ready guys in this draft class. If you can get that guy after 10 or 10 and beyond, that's pretty impressive. So he's such a fucking good player. Even if it's like an understated game, it's so effective, so reliable, and you can use him in any situation. So I like Constantinius a lot. He's gonna, when we do my final NHL draft Sun rankings, he'll probably be top 5.
Oh, well, how many draft Suns do you get? Because I think the last like 3 or 4 years you've had like 3 firmly planted draft Suns. Are we extending it?
Honorable mentions usually.
Sure, but like what's the number at? Is it 3? Is it 5? Like, is it whatever you feel?
5 feels like a good place. I feel like a hard cap 5 is. I feel like that's fair.
Minimum 2, maximum 5. All right.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. And no, Juracek can't just be a draft grandson because of the Michael Russo logic. It still counts as a draft son.
Yeah. Pionk, son of his brother.
That's so funny. I won't go that. That's a really good one. All right. Last thing that I realized as we were talking that we have to address before we wrap up here, because that's a wrap on the prospect talk for today. There's one piece of Minnesota Wild news that needs to be addressed by us because of our fascination with him, especially during Dean Evason's tenure. Darby Hendrickson, longest standing coach of any form, I'm pretty sure, is no longer with the Minnesota Wild. I don't know. It feels like something that at least warrants being discussed, especially because, Beckett Hendrickson, shout out. He's another guy that we have to get on here at some point, given the Minnesota/Boston ties. And he's a follower and fan, so love him.
There you go. The timing feels so weird.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. Like, it feels like the timing would have been either when Evason was let go. Even actually, that wouldn't even really made sense to me either. Because I mean, even when Evason was there, like every time you go to the locker room, there's like clips of like coaches talking. It's been him, and it feels like he's been the guy that's just been there for so long. That the players, I'm sure, like him a ton, and like he's very involved in the X's and O's, clearly. But a couple weeks before the draft, I don't like an assistant coach getting gassed, or like I think they relieving him of his duties. It just feels like fucking weird time. I haven't looked into it whatsoever. I don't know if it was just like something that they've been thinking about for a while and decided May 31st was the day.
The reason it didn't happen sooner is because it sounds like actually John Hines like was more inclined to keep him. I think this was more of a Guerin decision. And whether it's just like, hey, we need to turn to the page, we need to bring in something new, and you can only have so many assistant coaches. I don't know, but it sounds like he was kind of the voice of the players. Like he was good cop, and they'd go to him and he'd communicate shit to the other coaches. So is this kind of a wake-up call to the players and like, all right, guys, shit gets real now? I don't know.
If that's the case, it feels like at that like if that's the case, and this is like a Guerin decision, and the idea is like shaking it up again, like it feels like that's one of the last bullets he's got. Like,
yeah,
how many times can you like shake up the room? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many messages can you fucking say? Like, you did the buyouts, you fired a coach, you fired another coach.
I don't count the first one though.
The first one, the fact that bitch wrote
always
fucking.
Yeah, that's always going to happen. But now he's on his coach. Like this is kind of his last coach chip to burn. Short of him
when the coach you brought in wants to keep him.
Right. Short of him bringing in Mike Sullivan, this is his last coach chip to burn. But
it's I hate that.
Maybe it's something where Darby too, like as much as we wanted to defend him and say that it was unfair how Dean beat the wheels off him whenever they won. I don't know. Maybe he's like into that now. Maybe that's kind of what he's about, and he misses the punishment that was laid out. Like, I don't know. This'll. I know Cosgrove will be on board with me here. South Park. There's an episode where Stan and Kenny are pissed off that they went and saw The Passion and it sucked, and they go to Mel Gibson to try and take it back, and it turns out he like just wants to be tortured. Like. He was all about Passion of the Christ filming because like he wanted to be tortured. And maybe that's kind of the way that Darby's starting to lean.
I gotta tell you, I really enjoy this back and forth from Russo on Twitter after he said it.
Let's hear it.
This dude said he's an assistant coach in NHL. Why on earth is this even news? What a reply from Russo. He was there for 14 years, was with the organization for way longer than that, scored the first goal at home in team history, is former Minnesota Mr. Hockey, and runs one of the great philanthropic foundations in Minnesota. Better question is, do you always wake up a jerk at 6:00 in the morning? Which is, it's crazy to like when you put it like, I mean, not the jerk part, but like it's crazy when you think about it and like put it like that with this like. I was trying to put my finger like, why does it feel weird that Darby Hendrickson won't be with the Minnesota Wild? It's like that is why right there. Like, that is right there.
Awesome.
Well, yeah,
if there's ever been a mic drop tweet, that is it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that. I never saw that one.
Yeah, that's just good stuff. That's good stuff from Russo. Anytime he goes fuck it and just like starts like anytime he says fuck it, the fingers start going. I'm like, yep, this is good. We like this a lot. It's just weird. It's just weird seeing Darby Hendrickson not with Minnesota, and it's funny too because like what I was saying before, it seems like he's been very involved in like the X's and O's. He clearly, like you were saying, is a guy that the players were going to a ton. Like even when Everson was here, like beyond just like the coaching change and like bringing in John Hines, like he's been a guy that seemingly the players have gone to like for a very long time. I don't know. And I couldn't tell you specifically what part of the X's and O's. Like, it just feels like the overall game plan, a lot of it is just like echoed through Darby. So it's just weird that like he's not going to be here anymore. But yeah, no, it's that I actually forgot about that because that was, I think, May 31st. I think that dropped. But
my stapler.
Yeah, no, that sucks. I love Darby Hendricks. I don't know what it is, but he's just a beauty. Just a good dude. So
he's just a guy.
We'll see where he ends up next. I wonder if he ends up behind a bench somewhere else. Yeah,
I think he's taking a year. I mean, Minnesota boy through and through. He's got a kid at Shattuck. He's got a kid playing in the MIAC, and then of course he's got I don't even know. Is Beckett making the jump this year to the Gophers? Do we know? I haven't heard yet for sure. So like a lot of reasons to stay at home, right? And he's getting paid for another year. So like, why not do that and see what shakes out? Shit. He'll probably wait and see if Dean gets a job somewhere and be like, hi.
Yo, bro. Let me see here. Yeah. Beckett Hendrickson's going to go to Minnesota next year, I think. At least that's what's listed as his next team. So
love that.
Or next year. So, yeah. By the way, he got traded from Sioux Falls, Dubuque, middle of the year. He was a stud for Dubuque. I think he was well over a point per game in the regular season. Then he had like just under a point per game in the playoffs. But yeah, it's just weird seeing Darby Hendrickson. Well, not seeing Darby Hendrickson behind the bench for Minnesota now. So yeah, he's earned a year off to just like enjoy watching his kids play and like, you know, continuing doing like the whole charity thing. That's fairly important. I feel like that like takes time out of your fucking schedule.
Why does this even count as news?
Yeah, no. Imagine being that miserable.
I love the Russo clapbacks. Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff.
I live for it.
Yeah, anything else before we call it quits here?
That's all I had. Unless there's anything you wanted to talk about.
Life, liberty, expansion, pursuit of happiness. It's all horse shit. All right, we can.
Death and taxes.
I feel like next week might be a good mailbag week, though. I feel like maybe.
No, you forgot already. Next week is all name team.
Yeah, that'll be a 4-hour.
That's an important one. That's an important one. Honestly, if there is an episode that Judd Brackett's gonna like just reach out and be like, "Hey guys, I want to jump in on this," it's that one.
Yeah, that's probably the one. That feels like his sweet spot.
I mean, you know, that's like one of the most important factors. Yeah. Next week is for sure all name team. I'm sure we'll have a couple of things to talk about from the first couple of games in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I'm sure something stupid will happen in the meantime. But no, I think the following week is primed for mailbag if we don't come up with something else to do. And I mean, fuck it, we can make it all name team and mailbag, and maybe we need to do a dual mailbag where it's mailbag questions and, hey, submit any suggestions for all name team consideration. Crowdsource.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like we probably should.
We'll just throw this up on YouTube. We're going to clip this and say, anyone who wants to have questions about the NHL draft coming up here in a few weeks addressed on our next show, comment here on YouTube. But you also have to accompany it with at least one submission for all name team consideration. If you want to throw in more than one, send as many as you goddamn please. But you need to give us at least one all name team submission. Give us your question. And if you want, throw in something like who you want the Wild to pick or who you think the Wild will pick. We'll just use all of that for ammo this upcoming week. I'll hopefully have this up on YouTube in the next day or two from recording. Boom. Comments on Twitter do not count.
I might write them down.
I might.
Maybe.
No, you won't do that if I don't remind you.
You don't know that.
I just want to remind you.
Fair enough. All right. Do that. See you next week, baby, hopefully.
Fuck. All right. Peace out.